Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Hermitcraft. It is January right now, and this is when I usually take time off from doing YouTube to go on holiday, or something like that. But given the way things are in the world right now, I'm staying at home and taking time to do things around the house, little odds and sods, jobs that need doing, changing and improving things, and I've actually decided to overhaul the office area in which I record these videos from. I'm probably going to put like a picture on the screen so you can see what it currently looks like, and then in the future I'll show you what it looks like when everything is refurbished. I'm thinking about getting the carpet done, getting a new desk, changing some things around. There's a lot that's going to change here, and I thought it would be cool to show all of you that. Now here on Hermitcraft at the same time, I'm planning on doing a whole bunch of like really grindy stuff to finish off our big projects. We got 2 mega projects that are unfinished. And this means that, you know, it might have been a while since the last episode of Hermitcraft. So if that happens to be the case, you now know why. I've been busy behind the scenes. So you might know that we've been working on a list. We're trying to tick off all of these different projects, and you might notice I've reordered the list. All the ticked ones are at the top. I've added Finish Mega Build over here, and this one will relate to mushroom farms, which has been incorrectly labeled. Also, chest monsters, I'm putting off sorting away all of these materials. So the reason that I say incorrectly labelled is because we did some sort of experimenting with the TNT duper and mushrooms over here, but actually I've been using this little mess right here to do some netherwart farming for some of the new nether materials, and what I need is a proper place to put this inside of. Now, I don't know if we ever came up with a proper name for this project, but I often refer to it as just the Mega Project. And it's in here that I want to have a place to come and experiment with ideas, do the little redstone stuff where I'm not sure if it's going to become a proper project or not. So in line with the landing bay, which we totally didn't just use, I'm going to put concrete powder over the entirety of this area. You can see sea lanterns have been put in place to make sure that nothing spawns on here. But then we're going to fill in all the space around the glass with this powder right here, and that is going to be the floor of the area. The question is, how many materials do we need? As you can see, all that stone that I brought from Grian has also come in useful, as I've been using it for the floor. But I went through over 5 shulker boxes worth of stone for this, which means we got to make 5 shulker boxes worth of this concrete powder. This, my friends, is going to be a real grind. And it all starts here in the mining desert, although we're not actually in the mining desert. But anyway, I've got my 5 full shulker boxes of sand. That's actually double the amount we need, right? And I've got loads of gravel from trading with the piglins. Let's fly up into the sky. I've actually gone to this beach that's next to the desert biome, which is one of the largest ones that we could find in this world. And at this point, the hermits have pretty much decimated it in every direction. Yeah, it's literally been fully mined. This is bonkers. Oh, and I should let you know that I got some more rabbit's feet over here. I did a little experiment with actually just keeping all the newly bred rabbits loaded down in this space right here. And I even recorded some footage of me killing them because it took my frames down to like 0. And then I lost that footage. So, yeah. Anyway, let's move on from here. It would seem that I miscalculated, needed slightly more than 5 shulker boxes to do all of this. And wow, it is quite the sight. Like, you can actually fly around inside of this space. And it is all here simply for us to build little odds and sods on. And so I think we should kind of actually tidy this up a little bit. At these edges over here, mobs are actually able to spawn up there. So I figured, let's go ahead and tidy up these roofs, maybe extend these blocks over, make it look a little bit more finished. And then we've got to kind of deal with the roof area, right? Like, mobs can spawn up the top here. We need to stop them from falling down into this area, which they've been doing while I've been trying to place all of that concrete powder. This is what I pictured in my mind, and it turned out to be pretty bad, right? So then I tried that, and I thought it doesn't really look that good either. And then I remembered that we got carpets in this game, so a little bit of orange carpet on top goes a long way. I've tidied up the hole in the roof as well, and so now things are pretty clean and pretty final on the inside. Now we've just got to stop the mobs from dropping off the edge here and falling down, and the way to do that is with a glass ceiling, I think. So smelted up a whole bunch of that sand that I gathered earlier, and now we're going to fill in this space. Some rough calculations have informed me that that is actually at least 3 shulker boxes worth of glass that we got to smelt up. So there is potentially another solution, which is to have this go too high, put some carpet on top, and then mobs ain't going to be able to make their way in, right? I thought it would look ugly though, and you know, from up here it just really doesn't make too much of a difference actually. And I always liked how the sky looked with this lip over here, and it doesn't actually really get changed too much by having it too high. So I think that is the better solution here. I'll save myself a grind, we'll have an open sky, and it means at night time I'm probably going to get attacked by phantoms. And then, my friends, is something that I can live with. Right now I feel very joyous as this mega project is finished. Can you believe it? There is absolutely nothing else that needs to be done here. It's finished. It's just been sat here for too long. And it feels so good. Now we've got to fill it full of wonderful redstone contraptions. This is what I was talking about. See? Yo can't get down here anymore, can ya? Aha! No creepers falling on my head. And then, my friends, is another one on the list ticked off. And so now our contraptions from the desert have a proper home. And this contraption right here is for growing the different types of Nilium. Now, I did this experiment and got different results, and I think I did it using bone meal on the block manually. With dispensers, it seems that you can get random results. So the test was to see what different blocks you would get here. And when I did that by hand, I was always getting the same type every single time. So let's do that again. And you'll see, look, that time we got all 4, so it's actually random. Why did I not get this in the other test that I did? This wasn't a test I showed on camera or anything, but this was the way that I was doing it. So if this becomes warped at any point, then we know what's going on. Look at that, okay. 3 in a row. So maybe when you do it as the player, it's not random, but when you do it with a dispenser, it is? No, it's just random. This is messing with my head right here. I did this with tons of bone meal, and I swear it always gave me the same one each and every time. By the way, the reason I was doing that is because I had a mini-game idea. So if I can remember what the mini-game idea was, maybe we can resurrect this. But anyway, there's another experiment I want to do with bone meal, because we got this spot over here to grow our trees on, like we did in the desert. And hopefully they're far enough away from the edge of this. So I didn't exactly have to put this close to the edge either, but for some reason I thought I did. There's a risk that this can actually grow through those blocks. Look at how close that is. Well, I was about to say that my theory is correct, but look at this. They can actually grow a little bit wider. So if that one were tall, it would have actually replaced those blocks. So I think it just makes sense to put this in the middle of this area. And so with that done, there is something that I would like to show you. First of all though, the desert over here is completely cleared of the mess we had here before. And so I wanted to share with you the design for the roof. This is what it would have looked like if I had built it out of glass. Not really that impressive, right? I also originally had this idea of it not being flat and having these smooth stone blocks come across and connect up, and I just thought, nah, that's going to go in the wrong direction. Anyways, you might have noticed this over here in the background. Yes, that is pretty much like an end crystal. There's actually a few of them, look, right above my head. So a few episodes back I mentioned that I finally had an idea to make an amazing end crystal shop. Can you see what I was going for here? Unfortunately, using World Edit, I've been unable to do this in a way that looks right. So I spent a lot of time blowing the texture up, then changing all of the blocks out to represent the texture best I could with, you know, different Minecraft textures, and then rotating it on its axis, and that's where things get funky. You lose all the smooth lines and you get all of this crazy noise and distortion brought into it. And so this was my best attempt at making what would have been an end crystal shop on Hermitcraft, but I decided that it just didn't look good enough. And do you know what else doesn't look good enough? This. It turned out pretty awful, right? In concept, it was a cool idea, and I think the problem here really is just the timing. Because it's all random, it doesn't particularly look impressive. So this thing needs to go, and now we need to be super careful. I also don't want to be too close to this thing when it blows up. So we're going to try and use our pro skills. No, that's not pro skills. This is proving to be quite the challenge. Nope, see, it's super hard to just hit it into the water. I guess what we could do... Okay, now we skedaddle. Oh, 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 that was kind of anticlimactic. I thought something amazing was going to happen, but that was it. Interestingly, one of them did survive. Well, this is interesting. Some of it was in water, but some of it wasn't, and the side that it wasn't in water, this got blown up. Let's take another shot and just see what happens. Is it slowly going down? It's slowly going down, and that didn't destroy anything. So that eyesore is gone, and until I have a good idea for what to do for this shop, it's just going to stay as such. And yeah, no sales. No hermits are interested in these end crystals. And since we have so many of them, it would be a shame to not put them to use, right? This is the Hermitcraft world, and earlier in the video we discovered that our desert biome had been completely ransacked. Well, it is over in this location. This is the desert that has been decimated. You can actually see when we zoom in tons of areas where the sand has been ripped out. Well, it turns out there's just another desert over here, and there's also one in this direction, so we can probably go to either of these and start mining up some of the sand. And if I pay attention, this is someone's base over here, and I was mining quite close to it earlier on, and I didn't realize this is what we did earlier in the video, all of this beach. Of course, we don't want to destroy the view, so we shouldn't actually mine from this desert here. So I'm also going to build some instructions to tell hermits to head in that direction for the new desert. A good way to build a giant diagonal arrow is probably to make it bigger, but I think it's pretty obvious what's going on here. There is also a sign, more desert and sand in that direction. So if we follow the diagonal arrow, then we see this off in the distance, and this is obviously the desert. Now, I want to find a flat area around here, as I have an experiment to conduct with our end crystals. Also, clearly hermits have actually already come to this space, it seems. So, did I mention I had an idea that I wanted to try out over here? I can't remember because I spent a lot of time placing all of these down. Oh my goodness me, there's a lot of them, right? Originally, I planned on doing like an 8x8 grid. But it turns out that these things set each other off in a chain reaction at quite a distance. So I've spaced them out a fair bit. They can be spaced out even further. There's like 7 blocks in between each one. And I've had to flatten the desert a little bit. But this is our experiment. This is what's going to be amazing. We're going to use these like TNT. We're going to blow all of this up and see how much stuff we can get from it. So obviously I need to stand back a little bit. And that was very anticlimactic. What? These were setting each other off in a chain reaction when I did this. In a testing world. Maybe it acts a little differently on a server. And I tell you what, we're probably not going to get a lot of blocks from this. Hey, that one there didn't even blow up. Oh wow, this behaves totally different from in single player. Look, it destroys the other one without them creating explosions. Oh. Well, this was supposed to be a spectacular event. Let's put down a few more right here. This makes me really anxious. I don't want to accidentally click. I don't want some skeletons shooting at me right now. Then I have to walk through them to pick up the obsidian. Okay, so it's probably going to be only this one that actually blows up, right? Yeah. Now here's a big kicker. You don't get a lot of sand from this, but I've been thinking, if it blows up other ones around it, those didn't create explosions. So why do we get so little drops? If they do actually explode, then they would destroy items that have just been created by the first explosion. But since there's only one explosion, it doesn't really explain why you get so little. And so all of that for a couple of stacks of sand. I've done you all a great service today, haven't I? You now know never to use end crystals for sand mining. Not all spontaneous ideas are good, but I think they are worth pursuing on occasion, right? Anyway, if we get back to the list, you'll see that we have ticked off mushroom farms down the bottom. As a reminder, that is just the mess that was out there in the desert. The next thing I want to tick off this episode is the portal tunnel. And before we get to that, I quickly want to mention I'm launching a series on my second channel. It's going to be a recap of Season 6 of Hermitcraft. That's right. last season of Hermitcraft. If you never saw it and you want to get a gist of what I got up to that series, then you should go and check it out. And if you want a bit of nostalgia, it's going to be over on the second channel. It's going to be coming out in the near future, and they're going to be weekly episodes running through the entire season. So go subscribe to the second channel. You can find a link to it in the description box below. But you knew that already, didn't you? That's where all the links and information and all sorts of stuff, like the music in the episodes, which I tend to get a lot of comments about. But let's not get off topic here. We got a tunnel to build, and this is the portal that takes us to the brewery. And I've got a design for this tunnel right here, which is why I've actually carved out all of this space. And I forgot to bring the shulker boxes with me. So for this glorious tunnel, we are going to use these materials again. That's the wrong chest. We're also going to use some grey glass as well. We're going to use this colour blend, which will tie it to the build that the portal connects to. It's going to look kind of funky. I mean, I can't wait to show you, but I've got to build it. So roll the music. Let's get into a time lapse. So, hopefully the time-lapse there kind of conveyed a sense of how you place all these random blocks behind me. It's pretty simple really, you just need a block palette where the colour fades from one to the other, and you can see I just randomised as I went along. Now the glass here was originally to kind of convey, you know, glass with potions, and then I thought, you know, it stops mob spawning, and we've used shroom lights up the top here to keep it nice and bright. But they can just spawn out there and wander into this area. Not really sure it's too much to be bothered, but maybe this thing would look better without the glass. Well, there is one thing I can be certain of. We are going to keep that tunnel. I do really like the design, but we also need to properly connect it on this side. This is obviously not good enough. And so if you were paying attention, you might have noticed that portal was actually right next to these blocks. So it should link up as it's just been moved down a couple. And that means that Hermit's using the Nether will enter from this point here. And this build is big and ginormous, and I never really laid it out with the intention of having a Nether portal in here, so it never really felt like there was another good spot to put it around here. I mean, maybe there, but then the stairs goes down right in front of it. And I guess that's actually two more things off the list, because we've done the portal inside of the brewer, and we've done the Nether tunnel in the Nether. And this leaves me with the sword, which we built last episode. Got tons of feedback on it, and I kind of agree. The bottom part of the sword is actually way too big. I don't know why I really thought of that until after. I guess the handle is always going to be a little bit smaller, but that blade is kind of excessive. Anyway, the reaction was mixed. Some of you loved it, some of you hated it. It's definitely going to stay, and I'm not going to change a thing. Look, it took hours and hours and hours to get the resources, design the thing, and then build it, and I really can't make any changes. That is what we're stuck with, and personally, I quite like it. Anyway, the push continues. It's really only this project left, and then we have like a fresh palette, a blank slate in which to do whatever we want. And I've got inspiration and I've got ideas. So next episode, I'm hoping to make a really big push on the build behind me. But this is going to be it from me this episode of Hermitcraft. If you've enjoyed it, be sure to leave a like, and I'll see you soon with another one. So ciao for now, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.